Danny, just a couple of questions after Tuesday night. Firstly, have you had any response from the Referees Association on the decisions on Tuesday? Yeah,
as always, they're very good and quick to get back to us with feedback when we put it in through the correct channels. And on reflection, they said that the first penalty shouldn't have stood, and the linesman agreed with that, but was overruled. And the second penalty shouldn't have stood, and the lad should have got booked for simulation. So that's what we thought at the time. So anyone thought the second one was Stonewall penalty, you're wrong, it wasn't. So never mind. You know, what we are disappointed with is the 2 goals after that. You know, if they don't score the 2 penalties, we score, it's 1-0 up in an ideal world. But we can't forget about the 3rd and 4th goals. So, you know, please don't anyone think that we're thinking out. It was everyone else's fault but ours. We're very disappointed with certain things, but there's also learnings to take from it. And to be successful this year, like I've said many a time, then you've got to beat decisions, pitches, injuries, conditions, the way opposition sets up, all those things you need to beat to be successful. But yeah, we're a little bit bitter, shall we say, on the Wednesday when we had the feedback, but at least there was that honest feedback after all.
Yeah, how frustrating is that? You know, like you just said, good to get the feedback as quickly as you got it, but you were right.
Yeah, and it's frustrating, but you can only, like I say, put in your concerns through correct channels and hope you get the honest feedback, and we got that, so we have to be respectful of that. But it's just a shame that it came to that. I think Paul from BBC Sheffield asked me after the Bristol Rovers game about having any sympathy for Bristol Rovers because they thought maybe the lad shouldn't have got sent off. And my point was, well, there's no point having any sympathy because believe me, it could be the next game, which it was, where people might want sympathy for us and we won't get it. So you've just got to get on with it, roll with the punches, turn up at Harrogate and win whatever obstacles stand in our way.
In terms of the decisions that go against you, because unfortunately you'll have a few that go against you this season, that's just football. How hard is it for the players to not let it affect them in the game as well, as the game's going on and maybe the scoreline's not what they want? Yeah, and I think that was a disappointing thing that even after the second penalty that shouldn't have been, and then we get back into it, there was 2 poor goals. I mean, okay, the 4th one you're saying is the game done probably, last kick of the game, but 3rd one especially is a real basic goal to concede. So that's been looked at. It really hasn't been, sort of get the violins out. Let's all feel sorry for us because of decisions. We've actually looked back and things and gone, actually, regardless of that, there were still things we should have done better on the night, 100%. But I think the initial, especially after the first one, the initial frustration with the players was there for all to see. It was a bit more, just lads couldn't believe that it was given, and I think that was probably sort of shook the team up for a couple of minutes. But I think we finished the half quite strongly. But to start the half with that sort of kick in the gut was disappointing. Could say probably should have cleared our box a bit earlier. So that again is something we analysed. It wasn't just everyone else's fault. As I say, we could have cleared our box early. It doesn't come to that fake penalty, but it led to it, and we have to get on with it now. It's a scoreline that you don't associate with Chesterfield over the past few years, especially now. Was it a tough reminder for the side that if you're not quite at it, you're going to be punished? Yeah, and like I say, regardless of the 2 penalties, we conceded 2 other goals from normal play, which was really disappointing, with no excuses attached to them. So, yeah, the scoreline's not great, and then obviously you concede the 4th for a minute or so. I think don't let it go to 5 because that really is a poor scoreline to go home with, and especially because the long trip home for all the supporters especially. It's a disappointing night, but we've had a lot of great nights over the last few seasons, a lot of really good times, good memories, good trips home. So you're going to get the odd bad one, you're going to get the odd bit of anger, a bit of bitterness, and it's important you store that bitterness and anger and use it in the right channels to go and turn things around in your next game, which luckily for us is tomorrow. Yeah, with the quick turnaround, Danny, tomorrow, is the process the same? Even if you win, in the next few days after a Tuesday night game, in terms of leading up to the Saturday game? Yeah, it's usually the Wednesday off, especially after. We got back at the ground about 3:30, so lads obviously and staff were all pretty tired. And as I said, I'm sure the supporters were knackered as well, getting up for work the next day. So fair play to them. Thursday's usually pretty light, but you go through the Gillingham game or whatever game it is, just to sort of put that to bed, as the gaffer calls it. And then today is all focus on Harrogate on the grass. So. Yeah, it's a quick turnaround. You'd rather not have the Tuesday game in terms of preparation, but if you're winning, like if we'd won at Gillingham, you're thinking your lucky stars you did have that game on a Tuesday. So it's all hindsight. Everyone's in the same boat. Everyone's got a fixture. I wouldn't say pile-up's the wrong phrase, but everyone's got an intense fixture schedule all over the country, all over the league, so we certainly can't complain.
Just in terms of injury news ahead of Harrogate, how's Dibley Diaz doing?
Very good. He will be available for selection tomorrow, 100%.
Fantastic. Devon Tanton?
He will be back training with us on Monday. Not straight in with the group, but he's been with Fulham, done his rehab, and he certainly isn't far away now.
And James Berry?
James Berry as well. We're looking for him to start training lightly with the group on Monday.
Any other news, Danny, in terms of injuries?
No, I think we're okay. I think that was a minor positive from the other night, was that there was no reportings of any injuries, and everyone trained fully yesterday and is due to train today. So that's a positive. And like I've said many a time, if we can stay away from that humongous injury list we had last year, we've got a good chance. And like I've also said, especially in this interview, is we have to overcome stuff. You know, there is a disappointment and a regular theme sometimes that I mentioned last season. There's certain things we had reports back from about things that were wrong, decisions in the game, and I'm sure we're not the only team that goes through that with those gripes. But there was a lot last year, and we're hoping there's not a lot this year as well.
Harrogate next. What are your thoughts on them as opposition? They started the season quite strong.
Started really well. Obviously, Simon's been their manager for years, one of the longest serving managers in all the leagues, and he's a really nice bloke. So obviously he runs the place. Their players know how he wants to play, and they trust him. He trusts them, and they work their socks off for him. Great start to the season at Bristol Rovers. Since then they've had a couple of good results as well. So they'll be a handful. They beat us last year. We got 1 point out of 2 games last year. We got 1 point out of 2 games against Cheltenham and managed to overcome that in just 1 game this year. So we're looking to do the same thing with Harrogate.
Just finally on transfers, Danny. Firstly on ones going out, obviously Paddy Madden to Atkinson Stanley yesterday. And is there any more to lead, do you think?
Never say never, because you never know what lads are going through in their own minds. You know, sometimes there might be certain lads that are more than happy to not be playing as regularly as they are, and other lads might want to be playing a bit more, and sometimes lads keep those feelings to themselves until, well, it's breaking point, it's a bit extreme, but until they feel, actually, I need to go and speak to the manager. So as far as I'm aware, we're all good. Obviously Bailey played a bit of game time for Brackley the other night. I should imagine he'll start starting for them now he knows his teammates, and I'm sure Paddy will play regularly for Acton, and hopefully he does well for him.
Yeah, what are your thoughts on Paddy, just in terms of, you know, obviously came last year, I think it was, and obviously not just worked out for him, has it?
No, and he's had a couple of big injuries. You know, he got, I think, the biggest one for him was the first one in a pre-season game here against Forest, was it, I think? And then came back and in the warm-up done his calf at Exeter before we played them in the Cup. So that obviously halts people's progress. He's obviously got tremendous pedigree. That's why we signed him, great player. And that's why Atkinson have come in for him, and hoping that he sort of gets them up the table. Obviously it's a loan, so if he does well and produces regular performances of a good level, then he's still our player, so hopefully it's a win-win.
Are the clubs still in the market for a centre-half? I know despite Malik Olalabi Balayu, he's coming in January, are you still happy with status quo, or are you still looking?
Like I said before, it's a bit of a party line. You're always sort of looking, you're always aware. I think the 2 centre-halves for us done never so well this year. Obviously Grimes, he's been in and around. You've got Tom Naylor that can play there, and got Malik coming in January. So it's an area where we're not over concerned about, but it's still an area where you always look to strengthen, because you do like with any other position on the pitch.